Hi, I'm Ashley from Smashlee Stitches, and today I have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Dilliam from Craftsmith Cosplay.
He's my not-so-little brother. And he doesn't normally look like this, but this is one of his things that he did. So I'm going to let him tell you a bit about it, I guess.
Alright.
So, what is it, and why are you wearing it?
So, this mask is the Night King from Game of Thrones. And, yeah, you should totally watch it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But, anyways, the mask used to be totally different color, but I went and painted the whole thing.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was airbrushing and then a little bit of dry brushing to do detail work, and took a couple hours.
Anything takes a couple hours.
What's that?
Anything creative takes a couple hours.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not his real face. But,
No, here we...
but that's just part of what he does. It's not knitting related at all, but that's okay.
Oh, no. But you've knitted stuff for me before.
Yeah, I have.
No.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of just, I thought I'd show the world my brother.
Hi.
Yeah.
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 Bunch of creative people we are.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So what did I knit for you?
You knitted me a chainmail looking sweater last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that after.
Okay.
But yeah, I knit him a sweater. And what was that for?
It was, I made a medieval stormtrooper armor set.
Right.
And then I wanted to make it look like I had chainmail underneath.
Right. And so the best I did was just knit him a sweater and then I knit it garter stitch, which won't make it mean anything.
But yeah, I have no idea what that
But
means.
it's the closest you can get to actually making chain mail. That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
And I had Googled it when he asked me to make this sweater. And I'll explain why he wanted me to make the sweater. But I made the sweater, and some of what they do in TV shows
Yep.
and movies is actually knit the sweater because actual chainmail, because it's metal.
Yeah,
or
it's
chain,
metal.
I guess.
It's heavy.
It's really heavy, yeah.
And it's hot. Although, I can tell you from experience now, wearing that sweater in the middle of summer is still really hot.
It's also, I knit it with acrylic yarn, and acrylic yarn makes sweaters really heavy. So.
Was that why it was heavy?
That's why it's heavy.
Okay.
But wool would make you very itchy, and for summer, that's even worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so why do you make this stuff?
Why?
Well, not why. Like, okay, explain cosplay for people that don't know, who are
Right.
like me and just knit all day.
So, cosplay is short for costume play. And it's basically people dress up in their various anime and comic book or video game characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, it's all things, and there's all levels to it, right? So there's like the people like myself who make their own costumes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're new to it, you could just go buy a costume from a costume shop, wear it, and then away you go. And then we usually wear these to like comic book conventions or anime conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a bunch of us will get together in a park somewhere and we all dress up and do stupid things. Yeah.
Like a knitting circle, but not at all.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Sometimes
That's cool.
we even have like a bunch of us will get together and we'll all like paint stuff or build stuff together.
That's cool.
Yeah,
cool.
so it's like, just having company while you're doing that. But
exactly like a knitting group, but not knitting.
Yeah, although it doesn't happen often, because usually there's like lots of tools that are required to build stuff, so it can be kind of bulky to transport around.
And do you find, now you're in Calgary,
Yeah.
so do you find that there's like a lot of people that do that, or?
Within Calgary, yeah, there's actually a pretty large community for it.
And one of the major conventions is there usually, right?
Yeah,
At least one, anyway.
That's actually the shirt I'm wearing, is the Calgary Expo. And that
I didn't notice that all day.
But this convention is the largest or second largest in Canada. And
Wow.
they get almost 100,000 people that attend yearly.
And so they're dressed up from everything from like Star Wars and Star
Yeah.
Trek and Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Care Bears.
Yep.
Really?
I have actually seen Care Bears.
I
at
could
a
get into
convention.
this thing if there's Care Bears.
Now, the Care Bears that I saw, though, were like Care Bears mixed with Star Wars. So they were like Care Bear Ewoks.
No, just straight Care Bears.
No?
Or Sailor Moon.
There's, in one of my videos at an anime convention, I got a whole bunch, all the Sailor Scouts to line up and do the chicken dance.
Wow. So we're going to link to that video
Yeah, we'll
in
definitely
the
leave a
description
link.
because that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so at these conventions, obviously they have like, I would assume fashion shows.
Yeah, they're usually, there's like a costume contest that
And
goes
Billie
on.
Piper was at one of those things.
Yeah, she was. I actually met her.
Shut. I don't want to talk about it.
That's okay because she was actually kind of a bitch.
What? You can't
Yeah.
say that about her.
Yeah, in real life, she was very much like. I kind of got the impression that she didn't want to be there, and then was just kind of faking the fan interactions, which is unfortunate because that
There are things you should not tell your sister, and that is one of them because I'm kind of a Doctor Who fan. He kind of made me, and my friend Michelle kind of made me. And like, I watched her when she was on Doctor Who.
yeah.
But the thing about Doctor Who that makes me angry, and actually, this is another show that I knit to, makes me angry for this too. It's called Midsummer Murders.
Okay.
They change the characters too much. I am a person who needs stability.
Yeah.
And I need to know what has happened, and I will Google things before they happen on, like, as I'm watching the show, because I need to know. I do not like it when they change a doctor, or change,
The companions.
the companions, or the person that's solving the murders. It's just not cool for me.
I don't know. That's kind of
I
British
hate
TV
it.
for
I don't
you,
care.
though.
I hate it. I
Yeah.
absolutely hate it. So that's why I stopped watching it, because after Billie Piper left, I was like, I can't deal. But I remember her before she was from Doctor Who.
Yeah, when she did the music stuff.
Yes.
Because I remember that because you used to listen to it all the time.
Yes. I wanted to be Billie Piper. But anyway, moving on from that, because I don't like this conversation. I can't believe you've never told me that before.
Yeah, really? No.
No.
Yeah, I totally.
That's
got
the only reason I would have gone.
I totally got snubbed by her. Because it was like there was me and my roommate was the one getting autographs.
Mm-hmm.
But they usually let more than one person to go up so that you could say like hello to the celebrities that attend.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't even acknowledge me because I wasn't the one that was giving her money. And then so it's like, because I actually asked her questions, right? And then she totally ignored me but answered my roommate's questions. Because he was the one that gave her money for the autographs.
I guess we're celebrities. We're not celebrities. That's not what I was saying. We are not
We're
celebrities.
YouTube celebrities,
No,
maybe.
not really, not really.
Maybe one day.
One day. No, I was going to say we're not celebrities. We can't judge. But honestly, I don't know.
Well,
That's sad. I'm sorry.
whatever.
Maybe she was just having a bad day.
Possibly.
She's Billie Piper, dude.
Although when I met John Barrowman,
I don't know who that
like
is.
Doctor Who, again, he would have been one of the companions on it. But when I met him, immediately after meeting Billie Piper, he was super cool. Like, he answered all of our
Was he
questions.
the guy that was her boyfriend?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, whatever. I only watched like a little bit of it.
Yeah, I think he was after Billie Piper
Yeah,
was.
so I watched it, and then I watched the next episode after that where there was a bride,
Oh, yeah.
and then they decided that she wasn't the right companion. So then I watched this other one,
Yeah, Dr. Donna.
and then I basically gave up because I was like, can't do this.
Yeah, Doctor Who does change. I usually get, like, into a doctor,
So,
and then...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I get into it.
Yeah,
And then no. So, how do you feel about the female doctor?
I actually think it's cool.
Has it happened yet?
No, it's the first time that they've done...
No, I mean, has it, like...
Oh, no, I think they just finished filming the series, so it's like October, I think, is when it's coming out. October, November,
Still
something
not
like
watching
that.
it.
No?
Although, and this is, I guess it ties in knitting a bit, the Doctor Who scarf.
Oh, yeah.
So back in the day, before I was alive, before you were alive,
No.
they had actually made a Doctor Who scarf, and it's very long.
Yeah, it's the fourth Doctor.
Time traveler scarf.
Yeah.
And so knit a few of these, and I still have to knit your roommate another one. But anyway,
he always asks me about that.
I know. I will.
Well, I know it's a big project to knit.
Well, it is. So it's extremely long. I believe it's about 7. This is how weird Doctor Who fans are. I don't want to say weird. I'm not insulting anyone, but
they are weird, but weird in a good way.
Okay, I'm also weird. But so the Doctor Who scarf, there's actually a pattern, and I'll put the link to it. But there's an actual whole website devoted to the Doctor Who knitted scarf.
Really?
And originally, the scarf was hand knitted, and they had picked out the wool, and BBC had commissioned someone to make it. And I don't know if they've ever officially released the pattern, but it's fairly easy.
Yeah.
And so the colors, because wool changes all the time and they discontinue things, the wool, they have specific, like, these are the brands that are on sale right now that match the exact colors, and then they will have different patterns. And so you said season 4?
Yeah, well, the fourth Doctor.
The fourth Doctor. Okay, so whatever they'll say, from this episode to this episode, the scarf was this long. From this episode to this episode, it was this long.
Oh my God.
And, like, it's like you can knit it. It's so crazy. But if you ever want to knit a Doctor Who scarf, you can totally do that. And it's actually a really good project when you don't want to think, because it's just one stitch over and over and over for, like, 9 feet.
That is ridiculous.
The one I made your roommate was, I can't even remember. I want to say it was, like,
it was long.
it was like 9 feet or 11 feet or something. It was stupid long.
Yeah, it was
really
stupid
cool.
long.
It was really cool, but then he tripped over it.
Yep, because it was so long.
And so that's why I have to. And
Well, like,
I was
even
gonna
after
fix
you
it.
wrapped it around a couple
I was
times.
gonna fix it, and it was not fixable. So I have to get on that again.
No.
Sorry, Dave's roommate.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen
Someday.
But so besides, do you see a lot of Doctor Who knitted scarves at the convention?
Yeah, actually, there was...
Do people sell them?
Yeah. People
Really?
sell knitted things at conventions all the time.
Knitting conventions they do.
Well, no, but
And like the Calgary Stampede they do.
Yeah, but like actual Comic-Con stuff, I have seen
So,
whole
like,
booths devoted to knitting.
What kind of Comic-Con stuff?
Oh, it's usually like superhero related stuff.
Like hats.
Hats. People crochet the little dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those. That are like various superheroes.
And there's not like a licensing issue?
If you sell them at a convention, no.
Really?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I think Smashlee Stitches should come to the convention.
Well, if Billy Piper's there. Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Is there Comic-Con Barbie stuff?
Yes.
Really?
I have seen them sell Barbie dolls. Like vendors have.
No, but like would Barbie be a Comic-Con thing? Like, could I dress up as Barbie?
Probably.
And go to Comic-Con and not be laughed at?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Comic-Con kind of, like, especially
all.
Exactly, right? As where, like, if you go to, like,
I could knit a wig.
Yeah? You
right?
could knit a wig?
Okay. So anyway, moving on.
No.
So you brought some other stuff, so...
Yeah. So I got
Save
this...
that. Save
that. Okay. So, this is a sword, like a dagger that I made for a pirate Green Lantern costume that I did. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like pirates need some kind of dagger or sword, so...
All pirates either across the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I threw this together in like a weekend.
Wow, that's really cool.
Nah.
So how many hours total would you say that this took from beginning to end?
From beginning to end hours, I'd say probably about 12, 13.
So in knitting speak, that's half a sweater.
That's half a sweater.
In
Okay.
knitting speak. I say a sweater is 40 hours.
No.
But yeah, that's cool.
No, and it's like I had to be very specific when I made it,
I
though.
don't know if you can see that, but that I'm assuming is Green Lantern.
Yeah, that's Green Lantern.
That's cool. Good job.
No.
I
had to
can't
be
chop
very...
your head off with this, though, because it's not real.
No, and it had to, because especially when you make props, they are very particular about, like, the material that you make it out of. And you have to go through a prop check to get
At
it
the
approved
conventions.
at the conventions. Yeah,
That's actually quite smart because you don't want anyone
yeah.
crazy coming in there.
Well, exactly, right? So it's like, but
Nobody needs a real.
although this one, it's like they took one look at it and they were like, yeah, it's good, right?
So do you have to like submit them ahead of time?
No, you can, but I usually don't. I just
How long
usually.
does it take to get into these things?
It depends on the lineup, but like the day that I went to get this checked, which was one of the busiest days of the convention this year, 10 minutes maybe. And it was just because the people ahead of me in line had
And this
really...
is at Stampede Grounds, hey?
Yeah, it's at the Stampede Grounds.
Interesting.
It's the whole Stampede Grounds. So like every part
as
of...
big as the Stampede.
Yeah, it's become as big as the Stampede.
Interesting.
First couple of years I went was like... This was before I was doing the cosplay thing. I just went for the hell of it. Those were the days where it was just the BMO Center. Mm-hmm. But it eventually got so big that one year they got shut down almost got shut down by the fire marshals.
Because it was over capacity.
Yeah, because it was over capacity, so they had to turn people away at the door. And then after that year happened, that's when they were like, okay, well, let's just take the entire Stampede grounds that make it the convention center. So it's like, but there's free things that go on outside.
I totally just forgot what the thing is called. I was going to say the Centrium, but that's Red Deer.
Yeah, that's Red Deer.
It's the Saddle Dome.
Well,
The Saddle Dome. Anyway, Case, show my favorite thing ever.
okay, so this little guy here is at Comic-Con this year, as a like convention exclusive, they sold a paint your own Bob Ross figure. So this guy was just completely...
And so literally this goes back to the point of Comic-Con is everything.
Yeah, it is everything, right? So it was like, I think like $20 I bought this. And then, of course, I had to do a complete video where I dressed up in this costume. So I dressed up as Bob Rosspool and then painted
That
it.
video's out already, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then I painted it like I was doing a Bob Ross painting.
I have to figure out how to do Bob Ross / knitting something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because I would like one of those.
Yeah, this is kind of cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is
He's
pretty
awesome.
sweet.
I really like him.
Yeah. Bob Ross is pretty
I might
awesome.
steal that, or if you die, I would like that.
Okay, there we go. Well,
Cool. So why did you start doing this in the first place?
it was just started out as something to do because I had been to Comic-Con a couple times just as a fan. And then one year I went, oh, well, people always dress up in costume. So I threw together a Thor costume. And
I
then,
vaguely remember that.
yeah, and then I went and did that. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I got there and the whole just running into other people in costumes, like the number of times that people stopped me to ask me for a photo.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
They ask you for photos.
That's
cool.
totally a thing. Like, if you are ever at a comic book convention or anime convention, and you see somebody in costume, go up and ask them for a photo, and they'll almost always agree to
Is
it.
there Power Rangers there?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What if your costume is the same as someone else? Does that
That's
person
fine.
like try and fight you?
No. You usually run into them and you're like, hey, you got the same costume as me.
Doppelganger.
Yeah, and then you usually take photos. There's usually like meetups of people in, like, for example, people that dress up as Spider-Man. Because there are so many Spider-Man characters that they will all get together and then hang out.
And have a little Spider-Man convention on the side?
Yeah, and then they like take stupid photos and videos and stuff like that. So.
See, so I would either be Barbie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing. Or
I'm pretty sure it's a thing.
Care Bear.
Yeah.
Or the Pink Power Ranger.
Score?
And Search for Tommy.
Did you know that
Or the Red Ranger.
the convention in, I think it's Edmonton that I'm going to, the Pink Power Ranger is going to be there?
Shut up! The real one?
The real one.
Kimberly... no.
I
Amy?
Yeah, I'm not sure her name.
Joe...
Yep.
Shh. Amy Jo... Years I've practiced. And I can't remember. Amy Jo... Johnson?
I think that's right. Yeah. I honestly don't know. But yeah,
she
she's
was
going to
my
be there.
hero.
No?
My hero.
If you give me something, I will get it signed
If I
for
give you something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you don't, I could just go and get her to sign a picture of herself.
Maybe. When is this?
September.
Soon.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Why don't you tell me these things?
Because I just remembered now.
Cool. So, what are your plans for the future besides obviously more conventions? Like,
Yeah,
what
more
are your
conventions.
Craftsmith Cosplay? I can't say it for some reason.
Yeah.
What is your goals for that? Like, what?
Well, eventually, I actually want to get into legitimate prop making.
For other people.
Yeah, and I've already actually started that. I got a couple commission pieces that I'm doing for people.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it'll, like I start with a couple small commissions,
Mm-hmm.
and then that kind of builds up. Kind of how you did the knitting stuff, right?
Well, that's exactly how I started, yeah.
Yeah.
I started just posting my stuff. And then people would ask me to make it. And I would say, okay, because I wasn't doing anything. And then it turned into this.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, maybe I'll have a whole prop building business and start making, like...
Would you do it, like, strictly online, so, like, Etsy shop? Or would you, like, do it for the people of Calgary?
I don't know, I maybe would do an Etsy shop. Because what I was thinking was that eventually I would, like, make something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then build a mold of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody asked me for this specific thing, I could be
Ooh,
like...
that's a good... Then you could, like...
Yeah, then I just pour the mold in, let it cure, pull it out and paint it, and then the cost of that would be super cheap for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I could do it really quickly, right? And then it would always look exactly like whatever the mold is. Right?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I never really thought that you would step into a Michael's other than to buy me yarn.
Yeah, now the Michael's by my house, I pretty much know the layout of it. So it's like if I need something...
I know the corner where the yarn is, but sometimes they switch it. So
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
on the
that
other
always
side.
screws me up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if I'm looking for something specific, I might not know where that is. So it's like I'll have to go ask somebody.
I'll be super impressed when you... Not that I'm not impressed anyway, but like when you make like a glitter sword.
That's actually one of the commission pieces I'm doing. It's not a glitter sword, but it's
Right,
a
you were telling
shield.
me this. And you also did a thing from my personal... I could be a Barbie in the rocker.
Yeah, you totally could.
Yes. Because I just remembered from Gem and the Holograms. You had done a thing.
Oh, yeah, so there was... they're all... the whole group of them were friends of mine.
Yep.
And at the anime convention Oda Fest...
This was posted, right?
Yes, this was posted.
Because I
So-
remember seeing it.
Some friends of mine did a Gem and the Holograms group. So 3 of them dressed up as... They even had the
We
guy
are the
with the briefcase.
Yes.
Yeah, one of their husbands dressed up like that as well. And then I filmed them, rocking out with their guitars and stuff like that.
So awesome.
And then the intro to that video was Gem and the Holograms, and I put the theme song on it, and then had them. So I did my own version of the Gem and the Holograms intro.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that song got stuck in my head for weeks after that.
Did it bring back childhood trauma?
No, not really.
Your sister torturing you.
Yeah,
That's a kid show.
yeah, it was all right.
So it's all kind of about like...
Well, it's just embracing the shows that people love, right? And that's usually what you do is you dress up as characters that inspired you or that you connected
So
with.
what would
right?
you, if you could do anything,
Yeah.
any character, who would you make?
Well, my dream cosplay is a very specific set of armor from Batman.
Which Batman?
It's called the Hellbat armor.
Is this a new thing?
Not really. It's a thing that's just in the comics.
Oh.
But it is a Batman suit, so it's kind of like an Iron Man suit that he steps into, and then it's really big.
Yeah.
But it is fueled by his own blood. right? So it's like, but it's got these really badass claws. It's got retractable wings.
So that would be your dream project.
Yeah, and it's like, and a lot of the projects that I've taken on for myself have been steps towards making that a legitimate thing.
That's awesome.
Because like making things like retractable wings and a whole costume
like
that
a
lights
long
up.
process, yeah.
Yeah, and I honestly at the moment don't really know how I would do that.
But I mean, it's just like when you first start knitting, you don't know how to knit a sweater. It's all about learning the construction of how to do it. So it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah. So it's like now I'm starting to get into using LEDs in costumes, so that way I could make this Hellbat thing light up. And then I'll probably do a costume that has a set of wings just so I have an idea of how to do that.
So what was your favorite that you've made so far?
Oh, well, that would actually be the Night King costume that I did. So that would be the costume that goes to this thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun to do.
So the other place that there's a lot of conventions, right, is Vulcan.
Yeah.
But is that strictly...
that is strictly a Star Trek convention.
So Vulcan's in Alberta.
Yeah. It is the Star Trek capital of Canada, I think.
I would say the world.
Possibly the world. I know that they did get officially recognized as one of them.
They're called Vulcan.
Yeah, they actually had Leonard Nimoy, like they had Spock when he was still alive, come and christen the town.
I remember I've been there once, and I remember this UFO visitor center thing.
Yeah, and then the visitor center's got a ton of Star Trek convention or memorabilia.
So they don't do a full Comic-Con thing there. They just do Star Trek.
They have a arena that they do the convention in, but it's like the guests are all Star Trek people.
You have to be from Star Trek.
Yeah, it's like you're involved in Star Trek. A bunch of the activities that go on there are all Star Trek related.
We grew up on Star Trek thanks to our father.
Yep. He was a Trekkie, or is a Trekkie.
He is a Trekkie.
No.
And I don't remember. I remember the movies. Like, the movies, he had the VHS tapes, and they had, like...
Yeah, the like, original...
They became an Enterprise.
Yeah, if you got the whole set of them, and then you line them up, it was, like...
Yeah, and so one of those videos, I remember...
With the whales?
Yeah.
The Voyage Home. That was the fourth one.
But he used to watch Star Trek Generation all the time.
Yeah, Next Generation? I remember watching...
Right.
Yeah.
And I am traumatized by that.
Are you really?
Because, first of all, I was going to marry the guy with the beard.
Riker?
I don't know. He had a red shirt.
Number 2?
He had a red shirt, and he had brown hair.
Yeah.
And he had a beard.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Riker.
I don't know.
Anyways, yeah.
So I was going to marry him. That didn't happen. And then, obviously.
Obviously.
And then the second one was there was this girl. And she had blonde short hair.
Okay.
And she wore yellow.
Okay.
She was in the series for a little bit. I do not remember her name. And she was taller.
Alright.
I was like 7, so she was really tall.
Yeah.
And she died. No. There was an episode where in my mind, she died. But the episode where she got engulfed by mud.
Oh, yeah. I think I know who you're talking about.
Anyway, you think Lexi cries a lot. That was horrible. Horrible. It reminds me of Star Trek 2.
The Wrath of Khan?
The one where all the people just go invisible. No, okay, no.
Was that the Search for Spock?
No, Superman, sorry.
Oh, Superman. I remember. That one traumatized me, too.
I think there was like 3 of them.
Yeah, it was Superman 3.
Well, no, because I watched Superman 2.
Yeah.
And then I remember parts of Superman 2 being very traumatizing. But I swear it was Superman 3. So.
Yeah, I think it was Superman 3. It took me years before I could actually watch that movie. Like, I basically being an adult before I was like...
I watched it, because Alex, my husband, watches, like, Superman. Yeah. And those were filmed in Calgary.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
There's lots of stuff filmed in Calgary, actually.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's growing as Alberta in general is growing as a big, like Hollywood stuff. They even filmed Game of Thrones in Alberta.
Where?
Just outside
Let me guess, Red Deer.
No, there's so in Game of Thrones, if you don't know,
Nope.
some of the characters have dire wolves as pets, so like giant wolves,
Yeah.
and they actually filmed them with legitimate wolves. And the guy that bred the wolves lives just outside of Calgary. And they needed to film a specific scene in I forget what season it was, but the guy had a commitment to something else, so he couldn't fly out to Ireland with the wolf to film. And it was cheaper for them to come here or to come to Alberta, and then they built a set in secret just outside of Calgary, filmed the scene, like flew everybody in like under the radar, filmed the scene, and then they all went back to Ireland, and they only announced it after the episode aired that they came out and they were like, hey, this one scene was filmed in Calgary.
For one scene.
Yeah, one scene.
It's insane.
Yeah. So it's like Alberta's growing, but the Alberta government is actually limited by, like, there's legislation that you can only film up to a certain dollar value of production.
In Alberta?
In Alberta, and that is actually pretty low for most big budget Hollywood movies.
Interesting.
So they don't film in Alberta, and then they're forced
I thought
to.
that's why they filmed in Canada, was because
Well, see now, like BC, for example, has because they film a lot of stuff in Vancouver
and Fernie.
and Fernie. So the BC government allows them to film like $250 million projects here in BC, but Alberta limits it to like I think 10 million or 15 million, and in the end, like, you know, that's
one scene.
yeah, pretty much, right? So it's like, so you know, they couldn't film like a Marvel movie in Alberta, but they could film it in BC. Wow.
So, what inspires you?
What inspires me?
Like, what... When you look at, like, a superhero or a costume, or you watch a movie, are you looking at how you can make that into a costume?
Oh, absolutely. Like now I am. And it's funny because I will sometimes focus so much when I'm watching the movie on how the costumes are made that I actually don't pay attention to the overall story because I'm so, like, in my brain. I'm like, oh, how do I make that costume? And then, like, oh, I need to see it from, like, a specific angle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now that I started filming videos and stuff like that, I now also think about how they make those scenes. So, like, the camera tricks and the edits that they use. So there are some times where I don't even know what's going on in the movie because I'm so focused on how they make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just part of being creative, I think.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
I don't, like, if I look at, well, right there, nobody can see it, but there's a knitted hat right there.
Yeah.
That's, someone got that for me, or I have it randomly from a store.
Okay.
It's there because it inspires me.
Yeah.
And I know how those stitches work.
Yeah.
And so I can recreate the hat using that. So if I go through a store,
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, why would I buy that?
You're like, I can make it.
I can make it.
Yeah.
Cool. So what would your, like, advice be to people starting out?
Starting out, don't be intimidated by, like, the really elaborate costumes that you see.
Yeah.
Just go out. Even if you go to, like, a costume shop and you buy your costume, who cares? You're wearing the costume, have fun doing it. And then if you really like it, you'll eventually start making your own costumes, right?
Or not, maybe you wouldn't.
Or not.
I would never. Well,
Yeah.
I would say I'd never make my own, but I probably would.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, like, I even make costumes where it's like I'll go to, like, Value Village or a thrift shop, and I'll just, like, go, oh, that will be, like, a really good vest, or that would be this, and then I'll buy that and then modify it. Right? Or sometimes I'll just buy it and be like, that looks cool. Like, this costume, well, my Bob Ross pool one, that I made this costume out of almost everything that was in my closet, except for the mask and the wig.
Well, yeah, the wig wasn't in your closet.
No, I had to go buy that. But other
I mean,
than that,
maybe it was.
like,
I don't know.
well, it is now.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, and so it's like if you're interested in starting out, like, do it, wear your costume, and have fun while you're there. And you'll run into other people that are doing the same thing, right? And it might be a little intimidating at first, but once you're there at the convention, it's actually not that intimidating.
And I mean, you get inspired by everything around you, right?
Well, exactly, right? And if you do find it intimidating, go with a friend. So that you have somebody there with you walking around, right? Yeah.
Cool. So back to the sweater I made.
Yeah.
So you have pictures of it, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll include it in the video.
Yeah, I actually
I'd
got
say right
professional
there, but I
photos
don't
done.
know where the picture was.
Some there.
Probably around here.
Yeah, probably right there.
So yeah, it was cool. Because it incorporates our two things.
Yeah.
Because they're very different, but the same at the same time.
A little bit, yeah. You know, I have actually seen fully knitted costumes before.
I was just gonna say, if I did it, it would be fully knitted.
Yeah. There was people...
Like the Ernie sweater would be cool.
Yeah, yeah. But there was the year that I competed in the Calgary Expo wearing that Stormtrooper thing. Backstage, you know, they pool everybody together as they sort like the order that you're competing in. And there was a group of people from the game Fallout. Their whole costumes were knitted. And then the guns that they made were Lego that was glued together.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I was like, I went up to them. I'm like, that is so awesome.
They obviously, did they knit them themselves? Did you ask?
Yeah.
They knit them themselves?
Yeah. It was like, I think it was
Were they guys or girls?
Well, there was like 3 or 4 of them. And I think they all kind of individually did certain parts. So like some of them knitted stuff. Some of them made the Lego stuff. And
That's pretty dope.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed my first interview with my brother. I made him do it.
Yep. Well, all you really needed to do was ask, and I was on board. So
Happened to be here at the same time.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and he has a YouTube channel and Instagram,
Facebook. That's it.
All those links will be below.
Yep.
So you can go check him out.
Down there.
And maybe with enough pressure, I'll go to Comic-Con.
Yeah, I think I could talk you into it.
I don't think well, but Billy Piper was.
We'll see, that's exactly it. I just need to find the right celebrity.
Billy Piper or a Pink Power Ranger. Or Barbie. If Barbie showed up
What?
and was a real person, I would be there.
They had, last year, or this year, they had the voice actors for Pocahontas.
If you say The Little Mermaid, I'm going to slap you.
No, it was Pocahontas, Belle, and one of the other Disney...
Okay, so we're going to have a list of things that, like, if
I think
these
it was
people
Jasmine.
show up,
Yeah.
she's cool, then you need to text me immediately, and that is Jodie Benson, which is The Little Mermaid. Pink Power Ranger, but that's already happening.
Well, she'll probably be at other conventions,
Barbie.
I guess.
Anyone from Coronation Street, although I don't know why they would be there.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
Maybe in the UK you would see that.
maybe there's like, well, it's all about fans. Isn't that Comic-Con?
That's pretty much it, yeah. It's usually the conventions go, okay...
Maybe Coronation Street has their own, like, convention. I should.
Yeah,
Google
maybe.
this.
That'd be cool.
No one would go with me.
I would go just for the sake of the convention.
You can't wear your mask.
Damn it.
Anyway, we're going to go. Thank you for watching, and check out Dave and Craftsmith Cosplay.
Bye.
Bye.